we try to be people that they, give them the feeling that they can trust us, and we're not going to, do anything that's going to be negative for them, because we want those customers to come back. And that's usually what has happened. For years, we have repeat clientele, and they refer us their friends and family because what we promised, we came through.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Great real estate agents is who we like to interview, and today I have a great real estate couple with over 25 years experience in Northeast Florida real estate. In 2023, they helped 42 families for over $17 million in sales volume. They are consistently in the $1 Million Club each month with Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage. Let's welcome the dynamic couple of Paula and Antonio Pou to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I appreciate you finally getting here.
Yeah.
I've been hounding her for a while to get on. There's some others on the Florida Homes and Realty group that I've been poking at as well to get on and hear your story. So I'm glad you made it down.
No, and thank you for your persistence, because I know you've been, at least for 2 years, trying to get us to come, and I've been changing on you. So
it's
sorry.
Probably every time you put on Instagram that you made another $1 million, had a $1 Million Club month or whatever. So I go, I got to get her on. Send another message out.
But thank you. Thank you for having us.
I'd like to kick off because you are a couple, and I think it's rare. I don't think my wife and I could do what you guys are doing a little bit. So I'm sure everyone, the simple story, where did you guys meet?
So I've been in Jacksonville since 1984, and Antonio moved to Florida in
1990.
And we belonged to the same church, so we met at church. We were friends for a while, and then we ended up getting married in 1995. So we've been married for 29 years.
Wow. Excellent. You were born in New York. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did do some, if I look at it, paralegal.
Started
doing that. What was your thought as a career as 18, 19, 20 years old, what you actually wanted to do?
So, like I was telling you, my parents came to the States. They were very hardworking people, but they were not fluent in English. So I was always kind of their, speaker, or, had to help them answer, on the phone. So I was just always doing that. So paralegal was like an investigative kind of, I was interested in that. And I started that. But then we got together and we married, and we went off for 1 year to do missionary work.
Okay.
So that kind of stopped that for the paralegal career, but.
All right. Antonio, what about yourself?
I was born and grew up in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. So in 1990, my parents want to give us an opportunity to have a better life. So my dad was a teacher in Puerto Rico, so he stopped teaching for 3 years so he can, help us get acclimated to U.S. So we moved to Florida, Ocala, Gainesville in 1990. We basically met in 1990, 1991, and like Paula said, we got married in 95, and that's how we met. So Paula started doing real estate first. Mm-hmm. She started doing real estate in 1989, actually, and I started doing real estate in 2003.
Right. So what were some of the first jobs that, your early 90s, what were some of the things you were doing before you joined her?
When I moved from Puerto Rico, I was working for a company back then called GPS. It's like a UPS, FedEx. Mm-hmm. I was doing deliveries, And then we did the missionary work for a year, and then I started working at the post office for 8 years. That's what I was doing before I started doing real estate.
All right. So what goes on that actually, she's having some success, I would imagine, is what happens. And are you getting your buckets full, you're hitting a lid and needed some help? Is that what brought him on?
Yeah. I mean, before real estate, I was at Merrill Lynch. I worked there doing data entry. But then I had a friend that was taking the course, the real estate course. And she's like, why don't you do it with me? And I was like, okay, why not? So I did that, and then I started, and, from 99
so you kind of backed into it a little bit.
It wasn't my goal or anything, but my friend kind of encouraged me. She was going to do timeshares, But, that's in Central Florida, and I wasn't doing that.
Right.
So I started with Watson, and 99 to 2003, I was getting busy.
Yeah.
And, working weekends. And so I was like, I think you need to do this with me.
All right. So I want to your girlfriend says, hey, I'm taking the course. Won't you come to the class with me? You're still working at Merrill Lynch. And what kind of just says, hey, maybe this is something I want to jump into? Do you jump in right away or kind of work some part-time or what?
No, I mean, I think it's been a while. But Merrill Lynch doing that data entry wasn't what I wanted to continue to do.
Right.
I just didn't see myself there forever. So.
Well, there was no HGTV or $1 million listing going on to attract you in there. So do you start talking to some agents that are working and, hey, how does this business work? Because I feel a lot of people don't totally understand what real estate agents do. There's so much stuff below the surface that you do in the business. They see, they understand, yeah, I show houses and you put the sign up. That's basically probably about as far as most average American sees a real estate agent. So I would imagine you're probably at that level when you walk into this class. Am I right?
Yeah.
What kind of starts you're like, whoa, hold a second. This might actually be something I want to do.
So, again, my parents, I remember them buying their first house here in Jacksonville, and just, I guess in me, there was always that wanting to help others. And I felt that this real estate, I could do that. I could help these families. And that was our niche for a long time, just the Spanish-speaking community. There wasn't many Spanish-speaking real estate agents back then. So we did our best. I did my best at that time to help, and it just kind of grew. We kept getting referrals and.
So let's talk a little bit between 99 and 2003, because I think it's so important, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of people come in the business and leave. So we know 80% don't make the first renewal of their license. What are some of the things that you were doing in 99? Were you able to match up with a mentor or have just a great broker, or just what were you doing to get that business going?
Well, I joined Watson because back then, they were, one of the best in the area. There was, if you saw a community, there was always signs with Watson. So, and he was a postman in Ponte Vedra. So that's where I joined. I said, why not Ponte Vedra? So I went to the Ponte Vedra office, and we were there.
Did you deliver the mail to the office?
Yeah, not to the office, but it was on Ponte Vedra Boulevard. So I was like, hey.
Back then, the post office was actually next door to Watson. I mean, we were having lunch together. We were able to see each other every morning while I was doing my work.
Yeah. That's good.
But the office there, even though I was like the youngest one, they were all very, very helpful. And I did a lot of floor time. Now that doesn't exist anymore, but I was on floor a lot, getting calls. And my actual first sale, we're still in touch with that family.
Wow.
They called me the other day that there are other brothers now coming. So 25 years later.
Wow.
That first call. And the agents there, I didn't know what to do, and they were helping me. And so it was.
Well, floor time, I would imagine. I mean, you think back at that time, obviously we don't have. I mean, the internet's there, this is 2000, basically 99, 2000. So email's still primitive. There's no social media. So I would imagine some people who are thinking about moving into Ponte Vedra, they are going by and seeing the office and walking in. And I think I've been told there's not only in the Watson office, but other offices, there's a lot of agents that's all they do is sit in there and hope that they're going to get that 1 or 2 walk-ins a month. And because of the value of the home, they can make a part-time living there.
You had to do floor time. There was a book with all the listings, and you just went off of that. Yeah, no internet. I think we got our first phone in like 97 or something.
Right.
Cell phone. So, yeah.
Yeah. So are you getting everyone talks about the brokerage. I think the first brokerage you go to is important. At that time, obviously location was a big help being there. But what were some of the other things that you found? Because you were able to evolve your business out of there. Again, where a lot of agents sometimes make the wrong choice of that brokerage initially. And that oftentimes costs them out of the real estate business because they just chose the wrong brokerage. What were some of the things that you felt that helped you within the brokerage or the broker themselves or the agents? What were some of the key things you think that really helped you?
Well, they always had like an in-house mortgage,
Watson,
person.
Yeah.
What's the technical word?
One of Mr. Watson's kids, right?
So there was always somebody there, that if somebody walked in, we had the full set up to help the customer.
Right.
But yeah, there was a lot of support. They had a admin, they had a manager. You weren't alone. So
Right.
I felt that was, for me, starting out, that was the best. They were really good on training. So that we took advantage of that also. And
Well, you bring up a good point, that the mortgage person in there, because again, through my 19 years of being in the business, there's a common question like, hey, work up a payment, how's this going to work? And you know how difficulty is getting now, especially now insurance is becoming a factor, especially with marginal income people to get approved. It could kick them out of being able to afford a home just because of the insurance and so forth, and being able to work that payment. But having that person to really be there in the office and say, hey, they don't think their credit's that great or whatever, and then kind of either spin them off or get the answers right away, right there. And be educated,
No, that was a big advantage. So
Yeah.
having someone there, it's still till today. A lot of the ones that worked at Watson are no longer there, but I still do some deals with them, and so
Right.
we have relationships for a long time.
All right. So 2003, I call it the lid. You're getting busy. What are some of the things you're starting to kind of struggle with because you're busy? What are some of the things like, hey, I need help with?
So, showings on the weekends, that can get, overwhelming. Inspections, just the paperwork. Back then you were doing a lot of paperwork and not so much computer.
There's no DocuSign.
Yeah, so meeting people every time. So,
Yeah.
I was getting a little overwhelmed. And so I figured, he should step in. And we've always done things together. We've always been a team. And so I felt that we could work together and do this better.
Well, let's talk about the dynamic. Well, and it's probably evolved over the last 20 years, I imagine, too, as well as that's technology and everything else. So initially what were you having to do? But now, Antonio, talk a little bit about how you guys have evolved your working relationship.
I mean, we have different personalities, big difference. I think it work well because we don't mind spending all day together because of that. I think if we were pretty much the same, I wouldn't work with her all day long. But I think that has been a help. We divided our work. I don't mind driving all around town.
I don't like driving.
She don't like driving. She's really good, taking the lead, doing the contract work, doing all that. I don't mind doing the inspections and showing homes. So I think that has been a big help. That I like to do what she don't like to do, and vice
good.
versa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And also sometimes there's some clients or customers that I'm not the best person, so he takes over, So that also happens sometimes.
Describe that customer.
some customers, they, we have seen it. They rather work with a male person. They do, and vice versa. Some customers don't. They rather have a female. And at the beginning, when we start getting to know them, if we see that they feel more comfortable with Paula or myself, that's how we do it. I take the lead or she take the lead.
Do you go out like on a listing appointment or a buyer's consultation together
We
most
do.
of the time?
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
We usually do. Sometimes if they speak Spanish and they feel that's all they speak, sometimes I'll take the lead with them.
Also, if they're from Puerto Rico, then there's an immediate connection.
Yeah.
So there's many factors. We kind of go together and we kind of hear them out, and then we'll decide who's going to be the main contact. But I do most of the negotiating with other agents.
Right.
And then Antonio does a lot of the computer, DocuSign, that back end that I don't really like either.
Right. So are you also, do you use a transaction coordinator? Are you guys doing that yourself?
Yeah,
when you're marketing?
we're doing it ourselves.
Paula won't allow anybody to.
She's a control freak?
I'm a little micromanager.
Now that you said it.
That's great that he has the patience to work with that.
Yeah.
I put this in here a little later since we're talking about it. Antonio, what are Paula's strengths in the business, you think?
She's a good negotiator. She's patient, and you have to be patient in this business. And she follow through. If she promised you she's going to call you tomorrow, she will. So those are things that help her help her on this business big time.
I'm taking this course, and I believe in those things too. You tell someone you're going to call them at 10 o'clock, you call them at 10 o'clock, right? And it goes into the integrity, just the loyalty of it. And, would you agree that's probably your customers feed that from you, feel that from you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're very loyal. We follow through. And I also, and that's a little negative, I expect the same. So sometimes if it doesn't happen, then, and we're always on time.
Yeah.
If we have an appointment, we try to be on time if we don't get lost. So that's very important. And we try to be people that they, give them the feeling that they can trust us, and we're not going to, do anything that's going to be negative for them, because we want those customers to come back. And that's usually what has happened. For years, we have repeat clientele, and they refer us their friends and family because what we promised, we came through.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously we've all heard the phrase numerous times: know, like, and trust. Right? You're not going to get their business till they know, like, and trust you. If your new agents are listening right now, how would you express it if you up in front of a group at Florida Homes of new agents and ask you to give you some advice? And how can we gain that know, like, and trust? What are some things that you maybe even just do naturally, but it's building that know, like, and trust?
Yeah, just, get to know the customer, let them know, give them your strengths, tell them what what you're going to do for them. And if they've been doing another job, that they can give a reference, or, we try to do that. If you need a reference, someone to speak about us, we try to do some of those videos, because that gives people confidence in you, and they feel that they can trust you and get to know you a little better. So,
all right. So what's Antonio's strengths?
So he's very organized. He's very good on the computer. He likes to drive. In situations, I get a little hot and spicy. He seems to be a little bit more in control.
She gets a little hot and spicy. Can you explain that?
If I
you have a short temper? Is that what you're trying to say?
Sometimes, and if I get an agent that is not responsive, or I don't know, just it. So those things can.
Well, that's an interesting
trigger.
That's an interesting thing that having, again, over 200 of the top agents in the area, even the few that have done outside the area, collaboration and focused on what the goal is. You have someone who wants to sell a home. You have someone who wants to buy a home, and let's get them together and get to the goal line. But yet there's still some agents that want to butt the other agents. Like, hey, we're just like mediators here in making this happen. Why do you think that there's agents out there that's like that, and how do you handle them?
So yesterday, we were negotiating one of our listings, and it was a couple little things that, we weren't agreeing on. So I felt I needed to call him, because he was emailing me and I was emailing him, and I was like, let's just get on the phone. Yeah. And, I said, we've been doing this a long time, and we're not trying to, pull anything weird on you. This is the situation with our seller. And I told him, she's older, she's got her mom. She needs these 3 days after closing to be able to move. And, she's going to Tennessee. So I try to, just let them know what the story is and why we're being firm on something. And, just try to say, hey, we're on the same team. We're not going to do anything that's going to affect
almost talk them off the ledge, basically.
Yeah,
some of them get a little ego type thing involved in the negotiation.
Correct. One thing that I think I can say I hate about that ego thing is you can tell that they are making decisions for their consumer. We are just a mediator, like you said. We just there to facilitate the transaction, and you ask them anything, or you relay to them what our consumer wants to relay, and they immediately are making decisions for them. I'm just asking you, please, pass this along to your consumer. And
it's not always correct.
Exactly.
Because if you go to the consumer and say, hey, here's the situation, and paint the picture for them, they are like, yeah, no problem. We've been there.
Sometimes if they hear the story, why we're responding or countering a certain way, then people can relate to situations and understand a little more, instead of the agent just kind of making the decision for them.
You've seen a lot of agents over time, and in going back to the reaching the lid part of it, not everyone has a husband that can step in type of thing. But you've seen a lot of other agents come and go. Some break through that lid. Some are still hitting the lid and have been for a decade, I would imagine. But what if you were advising or giving some advice to the listeners on there? Because I think there's a lot of, this is a common topic, is what to do first. Whether it's a transaction coordinator, an assistant, or there's marketing assistants, there's virtual assistants out there. Based on your experience, what you've seen other agents do and so forth, when someone starts reaching that point, they've got to start handing that off so they can continue to do what they do great, because we're generally not great at everything. They've got to give some of that stuff away.
Right.
Well, how would you advise an agent who's might be 2 or 3 years in the business and is at that point that I think is somewhere between 7 and 9 million? They're like maxed out. Yeah.
So you have to know your strengths. And if you're not good on the computer or you're not good, then you probably need a transaction coordinator. It's going to be worth the money.
Right.
You may need a partner. I don't know. It just depends. I think it depends on your personality and your strengths. And then that would I would say you need this or that. Or a mentor. Some people like to have a mentor. Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of mentorship for free just to other Florida homes and other agents that are new.
Right.
And we don't mind sitting down with them or, answering questions because, we were there. I was there. And I remember others helping me. So we don't mind giving back. And
what do you think is your number one thing that is the thing that it's getting you, continue to get you business over the years? What's that one activity that you can't give up because if someone else did it, it certainly would slow like new customers coming on or even past customers calling you.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it.
So just, now being active on social media, just keeping in touch with these past, and we do every year we mail out a calendar. I brought you something, a little Jaguar. We keep a list of all these hundreds of past customers.
Are you using a CRM or are you just doing this manually?
Ask him because that's his.
She said keep a list. I'm visualizing an Excel spreadsheet.
We have in a spreadsheet and once a year we go back to all the customer we have helped either on the listing side or buyers, and I just make sure we have a list of everyone, and every year we communicate with them, even 20 years later.
Right.
And it surprised you. Some people, like Paula was mentioning, 25 years ago, she sold a house to this lady and she's still calling us.
Right.
So it worked.
And another thing I do is every time we have a closing, I'll save that in my calendar. And then every year I reach out and say, hey, it's your first, second, third, fifth year anniversary.
Right.
How are things going? And sometimes...
Do you have like a set plan of how often a year? Or is the CRM sending them kind of some emails and that kind of thing, and then you guys are calling them on anniversaries and stuff?
The thing is, Paula, like after every closing, Paula set on her calendar 30 days later, she will reach out to them and say, hey, don't forget your homestead exemption.
Right.
Things like that. And then a year later, she sent a note and text and email, congratulating them. It's your first year anniversary.
So you're not flooding them like 3 times a month or something like that.
No, and we have them
doing more
as
strategic.
We have them on our, we always exchange social media, so they're seeing, and sometimes they'll comment and say, hey, where's that house? So we're keeping in touch kind of that way now. But I do every anniversary, reach out. Every year we do like a calendar. In our neighborhood, we also farm a lot. We do that a little bit more. We do emails. We do videos. So.
Well, that's a great subject to talk about there. Your neighborhood. How long you guys been there?
A year now.
A little bit over a year.
So you moved in and you immediately wanted everybody to know that you're there.
Yep.
Tell us some of the things, your plan, your strategy. What are you doing to farm that neighborhood? Because I think too many agents are missing out on just really focusing on 2 or 3, depending on how many homes are in any particular subdivision, 2 or 3 subdivisions, ideally close to home, so you don't have to drive that far.
Right.
But how did you get that started? What are the things that you're doing on a regular basis for that farming?
So we sent out, when we moved in, we sent out a postcard and say, we're your neighbors. We sent a picture of our house and of us, just letting them know we were real estate agents for 24 years back then, a year ago. And then we sent a letter kind of like a couple months later.
And we don't do it like a generic letter. We do it like a personalized letter, and we gave them our address, and it's the first time we did it, a week later, this neighbor knocked at our door. They are from Colombia. Paula, her family's from there, so it worked out great. And they just live 4 or 5 doors from our house. Now we stay in touch with them. We invite them to come to our house. Hey, we are your neighbors. You can swing by. When we walk, we like to walk in our neighborhood a couple times a week. We take our business card with us. If we meet somebody, hey, here we are. If we can get to know you better or help you in the future, we are here. So, and now they see us, they wave at us, they know who we are because of that.
They also do a lot of activities. Every month there's a social something. So last month we participated in one, and we did a big email blast. Hey, come see us, visit us. And it was a nice turnout, and people
So you set up like a little booth or something there?
Yeah. And then they recognized us, and we've been able to, kind of start building these relationships with some of them.
Did the letter that you kind of personalized, kind of told them a little bit of your background, where you guys are from, trying to resonate with, I would imagine, is what the
We always mention we speak Spanish, because there's always someone that speaks Spanish. We told them how long we've been doing the, real estate, that we've recently moved to the community. We reminded them, if you haven't done your homestead, do it, because a lot of people don't remember that. That's a lot of information at closing, and they forget. And then in our neighborhood, it's usually not a first-time buyer, so we mentioned, hey, did you do your portability? Because that's an extra, that they could port over. So we have gotten, good response, and we've had a few listing appointments. So, and we actually have another neighbor that he had a rental property. We helped him with that, even though that's not our specialty, but we did it because he's a neighbor, and he he told us he has a house he's flipping, and he's probably going to use us. So it's been working.
There's no doubt. I mean, my wife and I, we have rentals. Those turn into deals.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And people are talking, and because there are people who are moving here who do want to rent for the first year and figure the place out before they decide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus all these people that ran in here during COVID and bought a house, and then now they're having buyer's remorse, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we have done open houses in our neighborhood.
We did a big social media blast on that, and that was pretty positive.
Are you doing anything from the social media? Like, I mean, did you create, like, I know some agents created almost like a landing site basically for the neighborhood. Have you gone that far with it, or thought about that?
We haven't done that, but that would be
right. So if someone's Googling that neighborhood or whatever, that might come up, and then of course, boom, you guys are right there.
We haven't done that yet, but that we'll work on that.
I think one of the things I've been pushing, especially with this whole, I'm told, don't call it NAR, call it National Association of Realtors. They don't like NAR. But the collateral damage has been the devaluing of the real estate agent. I mean, there's just, obviously social media. Now people start poking. People start, I don't know, some people create negative stuff just because they want to get clicks and views and so forth. But that the real estate agent, just like housing, if anybody's listened to my past episodes, my little speech right here. Housing is a huge part of our GDP in our economy. And in the middle of that is the real estate agent. That real estate agent is the influencer. They are the pillar. They're oftentimes these people moving in from New York. You're the first person they know. And, maybe they might have a friend somewhere, but you're actually the person they're going to spend the most amount of time and probably give them the most amount of advice of where, based on what they're looking for, where they should live. I think that's how more important in getting out and getting on the social media. I think it was Ant Stroud said, we've got to set the tone as agents in the real estate industry in general, set the tone and start expressing what we are doing. Because I think we've maybe just kind of gone through the motions the last 3 or 4 years because it was really easy in 20 and 21. I mean, like you stuck before you even stick the sign in your yard, there's already offers coming in. Yeah. Type of thing.
But, we've been in it for a while, and we went through the short sale era.
Yes, I wanted to actually talk about that. Yeah, tell us about what happens so you probably started seeing in like 2007 into 8. You guys got to change gears.
Yeah, 2007.
Right? Yeah, we went through the ups and downs.
Yeah, so we started doing short sales, and we took training, and we, went to these attorneys that were doing them, and that's basically we were selling. And they were taking 6 One deal even took up to a year, I
year,
remember.
Yeah.
I can't forget that one.
Yeah. As you started to see I don't know if you want to call it the light at the end of the tunnel, because it wasn't really a light at the end of the tunnel, but you started to see this happen. You started the value in the homes. Did you guys get out in front of it, or is there something like for a while there you're like, oh, what should we do, and then kind of figure, or you got like, oh, hey, we got to, if we're going to continue doing this at the level that you're doing it, we need to get out in front.
Correct. Like Paula said, we said, we have to take some training. We have to learn. So that's why we're not too scared to worry about these new changes starting in August, because we've been through, I'm sure 2007, 2008 was even worse than this situation we're having now with the buyer's agreement. So we took the training, and then a couple years later, we have to learn how to do foreclosures and, another shift. It wasn't so much. So the same thing, we got some training, learn how to do foreclosures, be patient with those foreclosure, and explain to the consumers, it's not, a regular resale. It's a little different, but we're going to help you through. And, we made it through.
Well, looking back at that time, if, you were to write a seminar on how to do, what were some of the things? Because everything, it was new to everyone, right? There was nobody that had mastered it. And I think, one of the things that's going on right now that I've had talks with people is like the VA and FHA assumable loans, because they're, whatever they're at 2-3 sub 4% loans, and the servicing side of those mortgages are not equipped, although they're getting there, to start to hopefully move some of those in that can be assumed. They just never had the staff because they never really had that problem. Where the same thing happened back then. It took a while before the banks started to figure out how to move some of these foreclosures and short sales.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it just took, you had to learn the process and then know that who you had to call. And, there was one person at the bank that had, 300 files. So you weren't always going to be their number one. And also now I'm thinking about it, back then there was like a flat fee. They would offer like $1,500, $2,000. And here we are all worried about, what we're going to pay. And we were getting paid $1,500 on these deals.
Right.
And that's what it was. That's what they offered.
That took months.
Yeah.
6 months, 8 months to close.
Yeah.
And then you made $1,500, $2,000 flat fee.
Yeah.
So, but we took advantage too. We bought a couple properties that now have, obviously, all these years later are appreciated. So, we kind of also
if
did
you
that.
really look back, if you did buy an overpriced home in 2006 and you've held on to it, maybe you had it as a rental right now, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. Well, we bought a couple in 2010 and 11. So real low.
Yeah. No, my wife, when we moved here, my wife was born in not born, but she was raised here in Jacksonville. We came back here in 2009. Actually, it was right at the end of 2008, and we bought a foreclosure at that time. And luckily, the agent not the agent we were working with, but the listing agent had direct contact with the bank, and we were able to actually, was one of those. We made an offer and we had an answer in less than 48 hours. I think it was 24 hours. They came back and said they accepted the offer to.
That happened to us too. One of the properties that we have, we still own it. It's a rental. That agent, we had worked with him multiple times on foreclosures, and when it was our turn, he really kind of helped us out to get it through and accept it. So,
how important do you think? I think too many agents really just look at the single family home buy and sell. They don't start getting out into the investment world or how to manage an investment property. And I say this because of my experience in 19 years. I've had many of agents call me, they're like, oh my God, I got someone, an investor. Someone wants to buy an investment property. What do I do? How do I handle it? With your experience now of over 15 years of having your own properties, renters, and how to handle them. When talking to other agents, if you're going to stay in the business, you kind of want to expand and get that experience of doing some of that stuff. Whether it's single family home, or if you can find duplexes, I mean, those are gold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But having that experience, how that helps you as an agent in your overall presentation.
Well, yeah, we have that experience. We try to also kind of guide them, because the investments we've tried to not get in debt or be tight on,
monthly budget.
Yeah. So we learned that, and we kind of, what we have is because we own it. So we try to guide people. Some of them are a little bit ambitious and want to, have 3 properties and, so I'm like, you got to think if there's a month you're not.
They're watching HGTV.
Yeah. So we try to give personal advice on that, but, some people don't. They want to do it their way. But yeah, we recently have had a few customers that we sold them their primary and now they want to buy an investment and we've helped them. And, rentals are good right now. I don't think it's a bad investment, but you have to be smart about it.
Well, I think still people are in shock where the interest rates are at and they see that payment and insurance is at. They're still hesitant, or they need some place to live until their house is built, because obviously we know that inventory and the deals the builders are giving are often hard to beat, especially for a first-time home buyer with low cash flow, or low cash there. What would you? If there was one thing, and this may have probably changed over 25 years, but is I call it the cornerstone of your business. What is the Pou Team? I mean, what is it that you guys are doing? Do you really feel? And it could be just naturally to you or something that you focus on that you're making sure you deliver to every client that really is the cornerstone that's really just kept you being successful, having people call 25 years later to work with you.
So we make sure that after closing, we stay in touch with, like we told you. And if they have a question, we're always available. I don't know. We just try to give our best, in everything we do. And we're genuine. We try to, pass that on, and I think they feel comfortable, and we always want to be their realtor for life, so we let them know that. And
does that come naturally to you? I don't think it comes naturally to everyone, personally.
I don't know.
In the relationship, because you're building a relationship with them, whether it's 30 days or 6 months or whatever.
I think the way we grew up, our parents, both of them, in both cases, that's what they teach us. People first. We want to help them. This sounds like a cliche, but it's not. That's how we are. If we can help you, sometimes like someone wants to buy an investment property, but we see it's not a smart decision, we'd rather not sell it to them.
Right.
We'd rather not make that money. But down the road, they will come back to us because we are telling them the truth. We are actually helping them avoid a disaster, or losing money, so.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier. They can feel the honesty, the integrity that you're delivering to them, and there builds that know, like, and trust.
Right.
And to be honest, I don't know, probably 50% of the consumer we have, they are actually our friends before we start working with them. So, we treat them like family. They are, we go out, we eat with them, sometimes we go vacation with them.
Right.
So we treat them as friends, not just as a customer, as a consumer.
Right. The whole HGTV, I'll bring that up again, but I think they see this glamorous life of these agents, but it takes a lot more to really build a solid, long-lasting, 25-year business and still, growing every year as the markets allow, to each and every customer that's in front of you. I often bring up on the show, I think too many agents get in the business and are looking short term. They don't actually visualize themselves 25 years. And maybe you didn't at first. So I'm going to throw that question. At what point do you like, hold on a second, I really like doing this. I could do this until I don't want to do it anymore. Right?
Yeah.
And did it change your business plan when you started thinking more long term?
I think so, because if you think long term, then you think, this person eventually has to move, or this person will have children and need a larger home. So yeah, I mean, we do try to build those relationships, those transactions to be like a friendship and a long term relationship. It's not just next, That's not. I don't like to be treated that way. So I feel that.
Well, and I think a lot of salespeople are like, well, when's the next time, they're going to buy a house? Well, it's going to be years from now. They'll call me or whatever. And they're looking for that next, what's my next paycheck in the next 30 days, 60 days, that type of vision.
No, it's hard to believe, but we are selling houses now to grandchildren.
Yeah.
So to people that we helped 20 years ago, and now they're grandchildren. And now we look at each other, we're getting old, or what's going on. But We are happy to see that we've been able to to stay in this business, and this business give us the freedom to do other things. You know, we don't work 8 to 5 in an office. I don't see myself going back to the post office where I used to work, or working, you know, 8 to 5. So that we love
The flexibility
that this work brings us.
Well, you brought up interesting. It's changed your lifestyle. It's allowed you to do some things. I know you guys are deeply involved in the church. What are some of the other things that you guys are doing that it's allowed you to have that free time to be able to go in, whether it's to volunteer or go on a mission or...
Yeah,
We also like to travel.
Yeah. If I see, was it Italy recently? Did I see that on
That
Instagram?
was last year,
That was
and
last
we're
year.
going September 20th to Spain.
Oh.
So we love to travel.
yeah.
So that's something that this business, you know, this work has allowed us to do.
Like back in 2018, when Irma hurricane hit Florida, we were able to volunteer ourselves for 9 months to do disaster relief work in Central Florida. We stay in an RV for 5 days a week, came back home on Saturday, work on real estate Sunday, Monday, and you probably have a listing appointment or showing houses, go back to disaster relief on Tuesday through Saturday. Well, we love it, and this job allow us to do all that, and it's something that we enjoy.
Yeah.
We have seen the blessings.
You live your lifestyle. Real estate, I think people don't understand that, because obviously the standard person is working 9 to 5, or they work for a job, so that when they walk in the office, they put on that hat, or whatever type of thing, that they don't understand. Real estate agents are, as really anyone in the real estate industry, it's all relationships, and people are doing business with people they know, like, and trust, right? And expand a little bit on all these things that you guys are involved in, the church and stuff, how it's come full circle to now, because these people now know, like, and trust you. You weren't in there to sell your real estate business. You were in there to do what your heart wanted to do, and the business allowed you to do it. But all of a sudden, it's actually probably giving you back some gifts.
Right, definitely. We recently sold something to a friend that belongs to our church, and from Claremont, they bought a property in St. Augustine that they're going to do Airbnb. So we, it just sometimes does evolve. And hey, what can we do over there? What can we buy over there? So it has.
Well,
produced.
the common conversation, I imagine, when you're at somebody's places is, what do you do when you're not cleaning up this disaster? Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, like while we were working in Central Florida, like you said, we have conversation. What do you do for a living? Real estate. A couple of years later, they're calling you, hey, can you help me in Orlando or Tampa or Kissimmee? Sometimes we were able to help them or refer that to another agent.
Right.
So, in a way, it helped.
So 25 years now in the business, what is your makeup now of customers that you're getting from past customers versus someone totally new that just, I don't know what marketing you're putting out there to prospect completely new people that are unattached to anything you've done in the past? Do you have that broken down, approximately what percentage you're getting from one to the other?
I would say a lot. Most of our business is past clients or referrals of, like, someone that we've sold to recently, or, someone that we helped and their coworker. That's the main source of our business. We do get some leads sometimes from other
social media
or, but most of our business is just referral based.
We used to advertise in the papers.
The newspaper.
Back
Radio
then,
station.
Radio stations.
Right.
We
did a lot of, like, first time buyer seminars. We did a few of those where we had, 50, 100 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was the Spanish community?
Correct.
Yep.
Come for that.
Yeah,
And the loan officer we used back then, he didn't speak Spanish, but, and the home inspector we had, he didn't speak Spanish, but it was just us kind of, and we took, they took applications that day. And
Right.
so we've tried it all. We've done.
What do you do particularly for marketing in that particular community? Because you probably do have, although you've been in the business long enough, you probably have referrals coming from that as well, because you already have a Spanish speaker and they're immediately going to refer you because of that relationship.
Yeah.
That language.
So in social media, I try to do the videos in English, and Antonio does a lot in Spanish, and that way we just kind of get out there to both. We don't only want to, sell to Spanish-speaking clients, which we don't, but it's been good to us for many years, so we're not going to give our backs to them.
Are you guys doing anything? Are you part of the is this Hispanic Chamber of Commerce? Do you guys get involved in that?
I go to some of their meetings. There's a lot of things going on, so it's hard
Well, it's probably gotten busier over 25 years. Yeah.
I try to attend something every month, and I do training. At least every month I take a class just to, keep sharp and up to date with this, change. I did a lot of training, virtual, in person. So that's very important to me.
Right.
I don't want to go in. Like, we recently got an offer on a listing, and we got 2 offers, and I could tell who had been to the training and who had not. So I'm like, okay, this person has not had much training.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, you can tell right off.
Especially was the beginning of July when they changed the contract, so forth, and who was using the old one. And
right.
Yeah.
But even now, now you have to add a writers and, this buyer broker compensation.
Florida Homes has their own buyer broker agreement. We've learned that. Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, you can tell. So to me, that's very important, to be trained, to be knowledgeable, because that's the only way you can really help your customer.
You get a lot of referrals, in knowing what you know now, you may not have always done it. But someone is out there right now is maybe 2 or 3 years in the business. They've sold a handful of homes already. The person who made the referral, what are some of the special things you do? Because watching, obviously, a lot of the training videos, right? They go back to your last 10, 20 deals and where did they come from, and go focus on that. What do you do for that person that refers you somebody to make them feel special, and hopefully they give you another one eventually?
So I always ask when they call, hey, how did you get our number?
Right.
And I immediately, when we hang up, I thank them. Thank you for thinking of us. And, send them a little card in the mail. Mm-hmm. Just something to show the appreciation. If they have children, I'm always like, oh, send me pictures of your kids, because, or the dog. Or I just try to keep engaged,
right.
And just thank them, personally or with a message or with a handwritten card.
Just something simple.
Yeah.
And I think people underestimate the handwritten cards.
Oh yeah, I
think people are actually, when they get something actually in the mail that's worth actually like opening, that actually means a lot today than it in the past, because everything else is junk.
Yeah,
right?
I've had customers say, hey, I've never had a written letter sent to me in the mail, so.
They almost want to save it. I know the handwritten cards I've got, I save that card, versus always all the junk we get to actually get a card that someone took a few minutes to.
We have seen it, some of them take a picture, put it on social media. Hey, I got this note from my realtor from 15 years ago. They sent me a note. So, they love it.
Yeah, we try to be personal, with them and such that way.
I want to spill some good knowledge out to the listeners. You said you're doing, you mentor agents all the time. What are some of the hot topics that maybe, in this past year that you've found that more agents are needing help with or thirsting for mentorship?
So I can think of a couple that we met about a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. They were with a different brokerage. He had been with his license for 6 months. He hadn't sold anything. And somehow they heard about us and they wanted to meet us. And I'm always open. So we met up and, I told them, come over and we'll help you. We're not going to charge you anything. What we know, we'll share with you. Their friends are not my same friends. Their sphere is not my sphere.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to sell a house to everybody in Jacksonville,
Yeah.
So they did, and he's doing great. And we're friends now. We meet up every week. They share what's going on. We give them advice.
What are some of the things they needed help with that you think you kind of got brought out of them?
Like Paula did chat with all these new agents. And basically, like every other day, Paula shares something that she have learned, something new. Now we did new changes with contract and all that. She always tried to keep them up to date. Have you heard the news? We're going to make this change. Contract, we have to use new pass. So that has been a big help for all these new agents because they are keeping up to date. If she knows about a training, she encouraged them to attend. Our brokerage, Florida Homes, are doing more Spanish training. And so that has been a big help. And we go there and translate for them because some of them don't speak English that much. Right. So whenever we can, we go there and translate for them just to help them out.
Do you think your help, because of your experience, you put a little more rubber to the road? In other words, taking that and they know where to actually put it into their business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the experience, just sharing that. We did a big open house and we invited them all to come. You know, we walked them through what we did and we had a great turnout. Just teaching them and sharing, to me, it gives,
Right.
I mean, it fulfills me.
I'm going to go deeper, though, on this person that you worked with, because he hadn't sold anything in
Right.
6 months in the business. So he had to, what was it that started to get him, what did you say to him, advise him, encourage him to do to start somehow starting generating business? What wasn't he doing?
Just, talk to the people and, like be a little bit more aggressive. And he's evolved. I mean, he's doing really good.
Aggressive from the standpoint of just letting everybody know what he's a real estate agent?
Or just, when you meet somebody about, I told them you need to team up with a good loan officer, someone that's going to help you get these people qualified, get a good title company. We had a meeting with a title agent that speaks Spanish, because his main is Spanish. And just, I surrounded him with the group of people that supported him and that were helping him, and he's done great.
I like the loan officer advice, and the title company is good too, because I know a lot of these new agents, they're not necessarily getting the customers putting 50% down or even 20% down. They are getting more the first-time home buyer that have, some challenges, whether it's credit, income, down payment, whatever, and you need to have that person you can rely, because the agents, you and I know, they don't know. They don't, some of, because of experience, have dove into it, or because they have partnered up with a loan officer and just had shop talk, and over time they start to evolve. Hey, I know what you can do. This person can do it. They get you down payment assistance or whatever. That the new agents are just out there and they're like, oh, what do I do with this customer? And one of the things I encourage, if they're a little hesitant, they're not being upfront with you, like, am I looking to buy in the next 30, 60, 90 days? Or are we looking to buy next year? Because you have that, is to put them on with a loan officer. Because as soon as we start asking financials, they're at that point, they're going to say, yeah, I'm ready to buy in the next 69 days. I need to get this done. Or, hey, we're not looking for a year. We're doing this. Or how many times have we gotten people where they're so anxious to buy a home, and then we find out they started a new business 6 months ago.
Right.
And that's, there's no track record there. Right. So that was very wise advice. So the listeners that are out there, newer agents, partner up. And, I know you're all the agents are being bombarded by loan officers all the time. I personally don't do that. I try to get you guys come on and have a great conversation, to actually reach out to a good loan officer and go have lunch, go have coffee and talk shop. How are we going to attack, in a polite way, how are we going to attack that next client that is a little hesitancy? Because I know a lot of agents don't like to ask too much personal financial questions. Like, even, where's your down payment coming from?
Right.
They don't even like to ask that.
And personally, we have a group of loan officers. We are not married to one, because I feel that everyone has their specialty, either VA loans or first-time buyer or investor. So we try to do a little interview with the consumer, with the client, and see, get a little story, and then see who's the best match for them.
Yeah.
That's going to make it happen. Or a problem solver, or someone that, doesn't have the 2-year history, but, there's so many out there that you need to find do the right match.
Well, I'll brag about myself for a moment. Actually, I'm going to brag about my teammates here at Town Bank. I saved a condo deal. 2 lenders turned it down. I know I've lent in there. I'm like, I own units in there. I'm like, so eventually did get back to my wife and then to me, and we closed it in a week. So there's some lenders that will do that, and there's some lenders that won't, especially right now with condos in Florida.
So we need
it's a little more of a touchier.
We need your help, because we have 2 condos listed, and I'm trying to find a lender
you want to get it when it comes to condos. Those are listening. I think this is very important. Now those documents are more. They're out there,
available.
Right? You don't have to pay $300 to necessarily get them. You can get the manager to get you the financial statements, get you those things. I can give you that list that we need. It's only like 4 or 5 things, and a questionnaire that's filled out by the on-site manager could probably fill out 99% of it. My team, a good condo team, I brag about the one here, we'll send up and get that approved. Or maybe it's like, oh no, we're gonna have some problems, we need some alternative lending to get in there, and that before you start bringing customers in, so you're not in process for 45 days and then realize you can't close it, and then Yeah.
So, and what about like spot FHA approvals?
FHA approvals too. We could, so that I was actually talking to my condo team just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's a similar questionnaire, but it's on the HUD's document.
Okay.
Same financial statements and all those things that they want. We'll send it up and get it one-off approved before you even have a buyer. So you don't have to get the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
You might just be in an area where FHA is probably going to be a possible go, and go ahead and get that pre-approved.
Right.
Okay. That way you can say FHA is a possible thing, because again, this particular one went to the 11th hour and they're like, hey, we can't close this thing.
Yeah.
Luckily we were able to save it and closed it in a week, so they just had to extend it a week, and we were able to keep the seller happy.
Awesome. That's good news.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna share those
get
with you.
those pre-approved, and no one's that busy right now.
Right.
These teams want stuff to do, so they earn their paycheck every week.
Good.
So we send that up, and then they dig into it. So yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing. If it's a condo that they're looking for, I try to find, a good match for them that works condos. And so
sometimes we can tell right away that the buyer is not ready to buy. He might need some work with credit or anything. But if you find a good lender that is patient and is willing to help this customer, get their credit up or
give them advice or follow up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then maybe 6 months later, a year later, he's ready to buy. So that relationship with the lenders is really important.
Yeah, you've got to, and having worked for numerous lenders over the years, how we've attacked that differently. I'm not a big fan of sending them off to these third-party credit repair places. I've dealt with that. It's not there. Again, I hate to sell myself again, but Town Bank, we actually have a lady, she's been there. She's been over 10 years with us. Before that, she was working for the credit bureaus. So she'll go in and do all those things. Now, having worked with other lenders, there are software that when we pull their credit, we can go back in there and say, well, what if? What can I do to get the score up so many points? And it will tell you. And that's about as far as you go. But to have someone in the back that actually is, because sometimes you got to go a little further, because that only does so much. Oh, they got this collection over here. Well, what if we paid that off? What are, all those little things. But like I said, to turn that out and be able to get somebody, or sometimes it's just, hey, someone's at 679, being at 681 is a big difference in what loan choices they have. That number is, and sometimes it's just getting 2 points or 10 points on their credit and being able to take the time. Some guys loan officers are such in a rush, they don't want to spend that extra time. They just go through it. But that really wows the customer. It's like, hey, I got your score up. Now your PMI dropped $20 a month because we got a little bit higher credit score.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to say something?
I'll finish with this, and then if you guys have anything to add from a marketing standpoint, you talked about you using social media. Explain like your mindset when it comes, because you go to any of these classes, everyone's saying do video, and social media posts. Everyone has a little bit different attitude, ideology on it, whatever, the thought process on it. What is yours, and have you found something that actually resonates with because I imagine you do a lot of it to just keep your past clients, letting them know, hey, I'm here, I'm in real estate, and keep reminding them. What is your mindset when you're doing your social media? What do you like to do?
So I like to tell the story, because just sold, it doesn't say much, but if you say, this family, it took them months, hard work, working together with this person, and just give a story that
get some color commentary to it.
Just something organic. We've been doing more videos about us and, what we have to offer, our experience.
And the videos we have learned, we have to keep it short and 1 minute or less. And if we do it too long, people won't see it.
Yeah. And just going to classes and learning to use the captioning, because if they're in a appointment, they can't listen to you. So just, little tips.
Are you guys doing all your own shooting and editing yourselves, or?
No, Florida Homes has a program where we can do videos there. We also have a friend that does, videos and things like that. So we don't have one specific person doing it. We just do different. We try to do different options and keep it organic.
I took one thing from what you just said I think is important, and I want to say it again to those that are listening. You're not just posting, I just closed. You're actually giving a story behind it. These people are from here. They needed a school because of this. They got an elementary student or whatever it is. And people resonate with that. Oh, that's like me. Oh, that's like my friend. Yeah, I need, and all of a sudden you're resonating with them. And they're going, I need to send them to Paula because She's just had a customer that's like my friend who needs
Yeah.
to come into town.
We just had a couple of girls, young girls, they're teachers. They were moving from Miami. You know, they came, they saw homes, and then everything was remote. But they were so happy and appreciative. I was like, you guys want to do a video? And they did, you know, and I put it out there because there's other people that are moving in from out of town, and it's not easy trusting someone to do the inspection for you, to follow up on the repair. And so those little things that kind of stand out on transactions, I try to share that.
Have you found through the video that people are building a relationship with you without actually even being in front of you? They're just watching your videos.
Yeah.
I think that's one.
I had never done TikTok until the other day, and we did a video, and I had 1,900 views, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. What was the subject?
It was about that big open house we did in our community.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I mean, I was surprised.
Yeah, that's very good on TikTok,
Yeah.
especially if you're not just constantly
No.
producing, just throw that up there and it goes. I think they're one of the biggest areas of improvement that agents can do is more video because it is a relationship. And we're all, go anywhere. Everyone's just
On their phone.
they're
Yep.
looking at their phone. Some of them are driving and looking at their phone.
I know.
But they're looking at their phone, and they're looking. And then when you're showing up on a regular basis, they're seeing you all the time. They're building that relationship. They're building that know, like, and trust without actually ever really even
Meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before they call on you. So yeah, I think that's YouTube. I think is the other area that is a whole open area for agents. It's a whole nother, it's like going into space. There's this whole frontier out there that agents that are doing it are successful because they are, people are watching your videos that are 2 and 3 years old, and they're going, hey, I should call that person because they think of the Gallup group in Fernandina. Video was 2 years old, and the guy said, I saw your video and called him.
Wow.
They have some background in it, but you just got to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you tried TikTok, and now you're probably ready to go do another one.
So yeah, that's our plan. And, we love real estate. We love helping people. We love those relationships. So it's been something we've enjoyed, and we will continue to do until we can.
You guys are already, I don't know, I was just looking at your panels on Instagram, the $1 Million Club panels. So you're already off to, seems to be a good 2024. Right now, with all the things that are going on, give me 3 things that you would say agents need to be doing right now in their business?
So training, just be knowledgeable. There's some, like I told you.
Be comfortable with the buyer broker agreement, new contracts.
The contracts. You need to know, that's what's going to get you an accepted offer or not. Like the one the little scenario we gave you.
Right.
And just, I don't know, be as knowledgeable as you
out.
can. Yeah.
No, I agree. The training, the example we gave you a little while ago, we got 2 offers, pretty similar. We can tell which agent, went through seminars, is prepared, knows how to do the new contract, and which one is not. So what we're going to recommend to our...
Interesting.
So...
Okay, yeah.
As we speak now, they are signing the contract with the knowledge agent because he fill out all the contract the right way.
Right.
So training is big. So social media is, it's been the way to go.
And build those relationships with the loan officers, with the title company, insurance. Just have a team of people that you can call if you have a question, if you need help. Because alone, it's hard alone. You need to have a support group.
Now I think back, I had Stevie Hahn on 200 episodes ago, and something she said that when she first got started, besides doing social media, she made people think that she was doing a lot of business because she was actively on social media. Her friends were like, oh, you must be killing it. But the other thing she said was the advice you just gave, and that's going out and having a coffee or lunch with a loan officer, title people, insurance people, and because it gives you more comfortability. And I think would you agree, one of the probably the biggest things that a lot of new agents are lacking is confidence. And with their confidence, it comes across to their customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And having, a handyman, a electrician, I get those calls all the time, you know. So be like a resource for your customer, you know. They can call you and you'll be able to give them a solution or a suggestion for anything.
Well, I was talking earlier, the influencer, the pillar in the community, that's what the real estate agent is. And you need to have those people on your speed dial.
Right.
Yeah. The reliable ones.
And it's funny when you do that. Yesterday, I got a call from this lady. We rent one of our investment property to them for a year. And she called me yesterday saying, I know you can get me a good attorney. I need a lawyer. Because she knows that we know people,
right?
That we are there to help. So we were able to recommend somebody. It's not my field, but you know, we know attorneys, we know people. So you know, having a list, and whenever we recommend anything to anybody, we give them few options. If they need a home inspector, we gave them 2 or 3.
And it'll be a home inspector that we would use in our home. You know?
Right.
We try to have that group of people that we trust and we know they're going to be. They're
going to show up on time and do all the things that you would do. You know, I think it's in John Maxwell's 25 Ways to Influence Others, and that's introducing them to others. And that's really what you're doing. Like the attorney, you know, you're not using it, but you know, hey, I know this guy's a good guy. Call him up. If he can't, that's not his area, he may be able to refer you. But I know he's a good guy, so I know he's going to give you good advice and hopefully do the right thing.
Exactly.
You know, and now you've influenced someone. I appreciate you guys coming on. Is there anything you guys like to add that we haven't talked about that tells us a little bit about the Pou Team?
No, thank you for having us and you're patient. I know you've been. Well,
they keep telling patience, persistence pays off. So I'm trying.
It does. I believe in that. So that's why I came, because I'm like, he's been persistent.
Well, she caught me off guard at Landmark, the event a month ago or so.
The training.
And she walked out. It took me a second to click through my mind, who is this standing in front of me? Because she goes, you keep sending me a message to come on. I'm like, oh, Paula. There's others, though, on that list.
No.
There's others.
I'm sure there are.
We'll get them on.
Thank you for having us. And we love to help others, and we're just enjoying this.
And it's come full circle, and that's made all the difference.
It brings us happiness and joy
100.
to do this.
I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.